Welcome, my name is Colleen O'Shaughnessy. I'm the Executive Director of Opera Reading Project. And Opera Reading Project was founded in 2018, and what we are is we are sort of an opera education tool for singers in the Twin Cities. And really our mission is to foster artistry for vocal performers and audiences through holistic opera education, storytelling, and human connection. So we want to make sure that we are touching the people that we are singing for a lot. A lot of our work in the past has been peer-to-peer, kind of safe singer space. And as we're growing, we're looking to incorporate the community more into that and to touch people. And our masterclasses have been something that we've always been doing since we started. It's been kind of our public outreach arm of it. And so Lara Bolton, who is ORP's music director, unfortunately she's zooming in today over here, but she's recovering from COVID, so she couldn't be here today. But she's here in spirit. So we're very happy that everyone can be here today. We're happy to spend some time talking about auditioning, because when you're a singer, you have to audition. And I think things have maybe changed in the auditioning world. What is needed for a successful audition? Are the things that you've heard for years and years still applicable? How does it affect the people that are coming up, whether you're emerging artist level, going out there trying to get gigs with professional companies, or you're going into college? And so we kind of have a mix of singers today. We have 4 high school singers who are looking at college voice programs, and then we also have 4 emerging professional levels. So it's going to be kind of a fun afternoon. We have 2 wonderful clinicians here, and I'd like to introduce them for you. First, I'm going to start out with Tommy Glass. Tommy is a recent alumni. He's a baritone. He's a recent alumni of the Minnesota Young Artist Program and Houston Grand Opera Studio. He most recently made his role in house debut as Guglielmo in Mozart's Così van tutte at Palm Beach Opera. And other notable appearances include roles on the stages of the Metropolitan Opera, the Houston Grand Opera, Opera Theater St. Louis, and the Atlanta Opera, among others. This year, in addition to covering the role of Mark Antony in John Adams' new opera, Antony and Cleopatra, at San Francisco Opera, Mr. Glass will return to Minnesota Opera to sing the role of Leporello in Don Giovanni this season. He's a grand prize winner of the 2019 Metropolitan Opera National Council auditions and the winner of the 2022 Mabel Dorn Reader Foundation Prize at Opera Theater of St. Louis. So that's our first clinician today. Would you like to come up?
Sure,
yeah, great.
Cool.
Give me a round of applause. And our second clinician today is Symone Harcum, soprano. She's currently a company artist at the Minnesota Opera in your second season working for the company, where she recently sang the role of Almorena in Rinaldo, and she's going to appear as Donna Anna in Don Giovanni in May, so you can go see her very soon. She's just returned from the Lyric Opera of Chicago, where she was in the world premiere of the Factotum. Did I say that right? She has also appeared at Glimmerglass Opera, Des Moines Metro Opera, and the Virginia Opera, among others. She was named the first prize winner in the Opera Ithaca competition in 2021, National Society of Arts and Letters, DC Dorothy Lincoln Smith Voice Competition, and the Sylvia Green Voice Competition. Ms. Harcum is a vibrant and dynamic performer and continues her vocal studies with Denise Graves and Margaret Baruti. So welcome to Symone. And so we're going to start out the program today with them sort of telling us a little bit about their recent experience auditioning, where auditioning is at, and just kind of getting a general perspective of their view of auditioning in today's classical music world. So if one of you wants to take it off, we can go. We'll do this for about 20 minutes.
Ladies first.
So about auditioning, right? In school, in grad school especially for me, we were told all of these auditioning etiquette practices and sorts of what to wear, how to walk in, how to introduce your pieces, what your package should look like. For me, I started auditioning really around 2017, and already none of that was very applicable. More and more, the audition scene is, for your pieces, what you love singing, right? Rather than being sticklers for, you have to have a Mozart, you have to have a German, you have to have this and that. They want to know who you are as a performer. And I think more and more the industry is looking for individual personalities more than can you check all these boxes. So I'm still growing with it and still trying to shake off all of those ideas that were put upon me from God knows how many years back, and really going into spaces showing myself and what I'm presenting.
Absolutely, I would agree totally with what you say. I mean, so my path is a little different. My first audition, I grew up in Edina and went to Edina High School, and then went to St. Thomas for undergrad, actually, and the esteemed music school. And my audition process for them, I sang Empty Chairs at Empty Tables from Les Mis, and I sang a song called The Sea by an American composer that a voice teacher in high school taught me. And that was my first audition in 2009. After that, my next one was downstairs in Bemis for the opera chorus when I was in college in like 2011. I sang Se vuol ballare from Figaro, not Marriage of Figaro, and that was sort of it. And after that, you know, it was the gamut of going from grad school into young artists, and then coming out of young artists for like actual professional engagements and singing for houses and stuff like that. And the difference at each level is pretty big. I agree wholeheartedly with you that like once you get to, unfortunately, that area where you sort of have to check all your boxes of like, okay, you have language, you have style, you have technique, you know, connection with your breath support, all these other singery specific things that undergrad and graduate schools may be looking for like development and that sort of stuff. It is really about that artistry. That being said, you know, I found that my most successful auditions were those when I really had a connection with the pieces I was singing and wasn't just checking a box, you know, singing an Italian song because I had to sing an Italian song or something like that. I have a vivid memory of auditioning for grad school and frantically memorizing one of my songs for my Rice University audition because in the lobby waiting for it, like writing down the third verse of the Stefano Einaudi song because I was just freaking out and couldn't remember it. They didn't call it, and of course I ended up going to that grad school, so that's kind of the way it goes sometimes. But it's really different, and that's one of the things that I'm really excited to get into today is, you know, exploring sort of what an undergrad audition would look like nowadays, because, you know, I did that when I was auditioning for undergrad in 2009, basically. I think I did 3 auditions or something like that, and I ended up going to St. Thomas. So it's a different world nowadays, and I'm so stoked to get to work with you all to, like, you know, kind of figure this out because it's so exciting, and I got to listen to your videos, and you all are amazing, and I cannot wait to like spend some time with you and work with you guys. So anyway, just saying that, but auditioning today, like what was your most recent audition? What did you do? Like,
My most recent audition was for a young artist program, a summer program that actually I had auditioned for multiple times. So once you get into young artist programs, you start auditioning over years, and you've seen the panel multiple times, right? So now you have to get into what did they hear last year? You know, should I sing it again or should I not, right? But what I've learned about those things is that it's very rarely do you get the job because of that one moment. It is auditioning consistently over time. One of the biggest realizations I had was actually when I got the job for Minnesota. I auditioned for Minnesota 3 times. And when I spoke with Alan Perriello at the time, he was working here, after I got in the contract, he did not reference my last audition. He referenced the 2 before. Very vividly. He was like, I remember when you sang this, and then you sang this, you know, the year after that, and then you came in. And so now we've cast you for these based on that, the memory of or what we know about you as a singer over time, right? And so I think we get into traps with auditions, believing that it's about that one moment, and if we don't nail it, it's over, right? Or if we do nail it and they don't give us an audition, or they don't give us a contract, right, it's over. It's not that, you know. These panelists have been in the business for years, and they know the full range of who's auditioning, and they remember your face and things like that, and remember what you sang. So I think it's just about patience and consistency, and just, you know, keeping that vitality of who you are as an artist and presenting that every time.
I agree totally. It's not, I mean, my most recent gig in Palm Beach, the director of the company was like, you know, I've been watching you for a while and I've been to a few of your auditions, and it wasn't until like this last summer I was like, okay, it's time to hire him. And that happens all the time, where people just, you know, without you even knowing it, are watching you and keeping track of you and what you're doing. And that happens constantly. You know, for both amazing things like getting gigs, and then like, you know, sometimes if you're not singing something that maybe is great, like that can become a thing, you know, too. It can sort of go both ways, I suppose. But it's about building sort of your repertoire of sound and of like what your not your repertoire, your portfolio, your audition portfolio, exactly. Because that's how you become trusted. That's how you become a name. It is so rare that there's going to be like, you know, everybody knows the story of like Sutton Foster getting this Thoroughly Modern Millie thing from being the understudy, you know, and then what's her name goes down and she gets it. She didn't just get that understudy gig because of one audition. She busted her butt to get to that point, to be able to put herself in that position. And it was a series of auditions and gigs, auditions and gigs, auditions and gigs for years upon years upon years. So the auditions, you know, you're gonna never stop doing them. And you're gonna do them in all different sorts of places and times of day and in different moods, and, you know, and at different levels of hunger and at all sorts of fun little things. I did an audition tour in Europe in December, and we went to like 7 countries, and I did 5 auditions across, I think, 4 cities, and then did a couple other fun ones. But it was all sorts of craziness, singing at like 10 a.m. in Berlin after we just got in the night before from Minneapolis. And that was one of my best auditions. I was like, okay, cool, whatever, it was fine. Turns out that was one of my best ones. And then all sorts of other weird stuff, you know, figuring out, do I feel crappy enough to cancel this audition? Do I continue on? All that sort of figuring out yourself. But at the end of the day, the only thing that I found that you can sort of like cling to is just sort of like, I'm doing this for myself. It's fun. I love auditioning. I'm weird. I know that. Like, I think I'm a sicko. It's kind of like a fun, it's a performance. Like, you get to go do
exactly
what
that.
You're trained to do. This is like the cool stuff, you know, that you get to go like show off. Like, literally, I don't know. My wife gives me crap a lot. She's from the East Coast and is a bit more confident, shall we say, with how she presents herself, and I'm much more reserved Midwestern, and she gives me crap for this all the time because, like, you just go strut your stuff. This is an audition. Like, they want you to succeed. This is a cool vibe situation. I can count on one hand the number of auditions I've had where there was like, yeah, I don't know about this one. And that doesn't have, that's 5% of the auditions I've ever done, if that, 2%. So I don't know. That's sort of for me. Auditioning the last few years, especially coming out of COVID, I totally agree. I mean, my experience has been going for main stage roles at opera houses, and admittedly, like, you get to narrow your focus a bit more because you can choose, you know, I'm singing for this specific role, so I have to sing like an Italian piece and, you know, maybe a piece in English or something like that. But even so, like, just learn the heck out of your pieces and then just do them to the best of your capabilities with like do it with feeling, you know, like that's it. Show us what you think about it. You know, people want to hear artists that have something to say. People want to pay attention to those people. That's what catches my eyes. Like, you know, even if you think it might be a silly feeling, like, I don't know, it's the poetry or the music, whatever inspires you to feel a certain way, like, show us that. That's the cool thing about the voice, is like, it is the inner expression of you. It's often bearing your soul, some people kind of say it feels like. And that's amazing. It's really terrifying, but it's also amazing. And it's this really unique human experience that you can't get anywhere else. You can go listen to a beautiful French horn player and admire that. That's amazing. But guess what? They're imitating this. Go listen to a violin player. They're imitating this. Everybody is going after this stuff. This is the coolest kind of music you can do, and we have the privilege of being able to share this with people. So I don't know, like auditioning is really fun. I think it's it's cool. I dig it. I'm a weirdo though. I understand.
Do you have fun at auditioning?
No, I do. I actually do have fun in auditioning. But it was something that you said and something that a teacher told me that kind of changed my view, my perspective on the whole thing. When you're going into an audition, whatever the outcome, you are there to present something to them. It is a performance. Mm-hmm. And taken out of that context is really, I think, detrimental, because in the audition and what we do on stage are so different from one another. I find performing in front of thousands of people so much easier than going into an audition and doing that, because it is just different. In that moment, you have to build a character over one aria, where in an opera you have the whole you have the whole time to give dimension and things like that. But it also presents a unique opportunity, because you're in the room, and in that moment you are everybody. You are the singer, you are that character, you are the director, you are the conductor. You can express exactly what you want to express, and nobody, and this is what that was from that teacher, nobody can present what you presented like you do. There is not another person in the world. So this is their one chance to hear this one thing that will only be presented that one way, and ever. It's a gift. And when you come in and you give a gift to these people, the gift that, the reason why you are here, right? We have a moment to show why we love it and why, and what we want to communicate uniquely. It doesn't really matter what they end up doing. The success is in how you communicate it. And I think that is electric enough that people remember that. They remember the sincerity and the
Totally.
Genuineness of that moment.
Totally.
And because when you get into operas, when you get into rehearsal rooms, you're collaborating in a way that what you're bringing to the stage is a mashup of everybody, of a whole lot of people's ideas. Here is uniquely you. So make sure that when you go into that room, you can show uniquely you. If that is approaching an aria that everybody knows in a totally different way, right? Ch'io Bel Sogno is a song that I open with all the time, okay? It's an aria that so many sopranos sing.
What's that from?
La rondine. My favorite thing is Leontine Price. She says, I would like to sing the aria, La canzone di Doretta, from the opera La Rondine. It's like, I love it. But the thing about that aria is that it's an aria about love, right? It's an aria about her going after her, having the love of a king, but not really caring about it. She wants the love of that student over there, It's a love aria, but in the opera, she's singing it for her friends. Mm-hmm. She's kind of showing off. So before you get into that moment, how about reminding the panel, we're all in here together. You are now a character in this. You are now a super. You are now a chorister. You are now, one of my friends in the room. And we're just kind of singing, and that dude right there is my buddy on the piano. And I'm just singing a song for him.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And to bring a freshness like that is I think really helpful to you in the room, mm-hmm. And to really take control of that, and to try and throw them off, to try and open their eyes to something new, And on the other side of that, singing arias that nobody knows. That's something else. That's a huge opportunity. Depending on the panel. Some people love it. Some people get really bored. But the point is that if they have no expectations, you have everywhere to go with it. Just go anywhere. Tell whatever story you want. They don't know it anyway. So I don't know. In that way, I think it is really fun.
Totally.
And to throw them off by just being chill is also really fun.
And even, I think that's the other thing is like, auditions are a naturally anxiety-inducing
Yes.
situation. Like, of course, duh, yes, let's all say this. I get nervous before auditions, of course. Like, even though I'm saying this is fun, you kind of have to trick yourself into like faking it till you make it and walk in there with whatever, you know, if I'm walking in there and I'm going to sing Largo Afflictotum from Barbara Seville, I have to walk in as Figaro. That's not, you know, anxious like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. No, he is like the dude about to do the thing. And that's the energy you want to bring into there. And that's one of the most important things I think I've learned over the years auditioning, and I learned it when I was in grad school auditioning for a young artist program. I got to know the people I was auditioning for, and the director was like, you know, honestly, most of the time we know the singers that we want to take the first 3 or 4 steps they walk in the room, before they open their voice, before they, you know, give their, you know, hi, my name is such and such and I'm singing this and that. Any of that stuff ever happens. And it just has to do with, you know, a personality, something to do, a confidence, a belief that, you know, you are worthy of being there. And that can be difficult to sort of come around to, but if you fake it until you make it, I promise you, you will get there. Like,
you know
I promise,
So-
like,
Yeah. So do you have, before we move into the auditions, do you have one word of a pep talk for the singers before they do a mock audition?
Of course.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Just, you know, throw us off. Like keep our attention. You know, look at us. Look around. Imagine yourself on the stage. Just don't see anybody. Just it's you and whoever came to pay, because we paid to be here, as far as I'm concerned.
So,
I mean, yes, have fun. Do something you weren't planning on doing. Go for it.
Fantastic.
Like, have fun.
Great. Okay. Well, I think we're going to move into the mock auditions.
Let's
So
go.